You all here today. My name is Bobby Spiegel. I'm the president and CEO for the Corona Chamber of Commerce. It is indeed a pleasure to have so many new faces on, but also some repeat individuals. And for those that are watching this at a later time, this is March 2nd that we are recording this call right now. And there's a lot of things that are happening that we want to bring you up to date. We brag about putting in a 25 to 30 minute time frame as much information as possible. I'm going to properly introduce our chairman for our legislative action, and that is Jeff Miller. And Jeff is a former state assembly member. He represented the city of Corona, but he represented businesses. And that's what I love about him. He totally understands what it takes to hit a budget, to make a budget, to do payroll, all the things that are necessary. He's been in private business as an insurance agent for years, and very successful in that as well. He is volunteering his time as our chair for the legislative outreach, and I'm going to now turn it over to him, and I'm just extremely honored to have him on the call, as well as our chairman of the board, Palbinder Badisha. So Jeff, take it away.
Thank you, Bobby. Can everybody hear me okay? Shake your head. No?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you. I'd like to welcome everybody to this week's business briefing. It's an honor to be the Legislative Action Chair of the LAC Committee. Although today is a somber day, and the elephant in the room is what is going on across the world. And I'm hoping everybody can take some time out of their day to say a prayer for the folks in Ukraine, and give them your best thoughts and wishes. It kind of puts things in perspective, folks. All of us are sitting in the comfort of our homes or offices, and these people are wondering if they're going to live tomorrow. It's very, very disheartening, and it's a sad, sad place we are in the year 2022. And I certainly hope we can move forward and get out of this with the least amount of loss of life. With that, I'll get into the next topic. And I wanted to thank our sponsor, Waste Management, today. Waste Management focuses on maximizing resource value while minimizing environmental impact. The value doing the right thing the right way. They value doing the right thing the right way and are always working towards a more sustainable tomorrow. Thank you, Waste Management, for sponsoring today's event. Before I tend to go off the agenda a little bit, and I wanted to give the chair of our board just a moment to say hi and welcome everybody. Palbinder.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me a few words. I just want to welcome everybody. And Jeff, thank you so much for acknowledging the situation in Ukraine. I flew out for our annual Express conference last Wednesday, and this was all happening then. And we think we've had a lot to deal with in the last 3 years, and it just continues, right? The nightmare kind of scenario continues. And as I say to people, you kind of almost expect alien ships now to come over the sky, and it's that kind. But all we can continue to do, as we talked about at the installation, is as Winston Churchill during World War II, is stand firm and carry on. The best thing we can do is continue to look after our businesses, each other, and continue to make sure that people have jobs and are able to support their families. We don't know what's ahead. Hopefully the markets don't buckle too much, but what can you do? Having grown up in and being born in England, where I grew up, where we could still see buildings in the 90s that were bombed during World War II. I have to tell you that people in Europe are very, they grew up with that threat of bombs falling on them and invasion. And as you said, it's unbelievable that in 2022 we're facing a similar situation. However, we have so many privileges here. We should do what we can to support. I know Chad Miller, our treasurer of the board, is very connected to Ukrainian community and orphanage, and I donated yesterday to that orphanage to help get the children out. So if any of you can do anything on a personal level, I encourage you to do so. But in the meantime, let's continue with our mission of creating jobs and keeping and building a stronger community. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul Bender. I appreciate that. And maybe if you have that link that you used, maybe you could put that in the chat in case anybody wants to get involved and help. And you and I have had several conversations about Winston Churchill. That's why he sits above my desk right behind me for the obvious reasons. So with that, I would like to remind everybody there's a little chat button on the bottom of your screen. If you have any questions, please send those in to the chamber host, and we'll answer any questions that are asked at the appropriate time. And again, jumping off the agenda a little bit, I'd like to introduce City of Hope. Peter Mackler's on the line. And for me to think 22 years ago, when I got elected to the city council, to think we would have the City of Hope and the City of Corona, I would blow my mind. So with that, Peter, please give us a quick update on what's going on with the City of Hope.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. I appreciate the opportunity. And if I remember my history correctly, Jeff, you also have a history of hospital board activity as well, too. Weren't you on a foundation board many years ago?
I was for 10 years.
I do remember that. Let me first, in my 30 seconds here, let me give my colleagues an opportunity to introduce themselves. Luis?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having us. Luis Lopez. I'm Director of Government Affairs at City of Hope.
And Vic?
Thank you. Victor Benavides, Manager of Government Community Relations, City of Hope, and thank you for having us today.
And again, thank you. I'm Peter Mackler. I'm the Executive Director of Healthcare Policy at City of Hope National Medical Center. And as has been said this morning, yes, the new Corona site, 33,000 square foot, state of the art. It's an amazing building. We saw our first patient on February the 7th, the changeover from the old facility, which is a much smaller, to the new 33,000 square foot building on Main Street was just flawless. Started seeing patients immediately. The reason why now, Mr. Miller, why we're here now, and you couldn't imagine this 20 years ago, what we know now, what we didn't realize at the time, was that when patients receive their care, most times when patients receive their care closer to where they live, closer to where they work, closer to where their kids play soccer, their places of faith, what have you, when it is clinically appropriate to do so, most times patients respond better. Imagine having to drive all the way out to the 210 and the 134, whatever it may be, from Corona over to Duarte for chemotherapy or radiation oncology, or just a simple visit with your oncologist. But now we have those facilities and those services available right in your backyard. We do expect patients from all around the entire Inland Empire. So I hope I'm coming up to my 60 seconds. Just wanted to make sure that everybody knows we are present here for you. We're going to have more of a presence, if given your permission, on this committee here, and just let you know what's going on within City of Hope and healthcare in general, and answer any questions that we may have. You may have.
Great. Thank you very much, Peter. We're looking forward to a great working relationship, continued great working relationship with the City of Hope. Obviously, everybody on this call has been impacted by the work that you do, and I encourage you to stay on. Come on the call every Wednesday, and we'll give you an opportunity to give any important updates that are necessary. So
Sure.
with that, I would like to introduce Stephanie Shapiro, our Vice President of Communications and Events Extraordinaire, to take it over.
Thank you so much, Jeff, and welcome to the gentleman from City of Hope. Glad to have you on the call today, as well as all of you. We've got a great group here today. I just want to share a few things that are coming up that may be of interest to you. Next Tuesday, I believe, right? March 8th. On International Women's Day, we are co-hosting the Commercial Leasing and Ownership webinar with the City of Corona and CMTC. This is geared primarily towards manufacturers, but I promise you there will be information in here that will be relevant to any business owner that is looking to lease or purchase a building in the City of Corona. And we have some dynamic women speakers. We have Dennis Sunny with CMTC, and they're going to be talking about things like building upgrades, retrofitting, repurposing of buildings. They're going to talk about lease considerations and inflation, and really just put a roadmap out there to for people who currently lease or who are looking to lease or change their lease into a purchase. So there'll be some great presentations followed by Q&A. So bring your wildest questions with you. And we'll be doing that live online, so you can tune in from anywhere next Tuesday, March 8th from 9 to 10:30 a.m. To register for this, you just got to shoot an email over to the Economic Development Department at the city. I will put that email in the chat so you guys can get on there and send them a message that you would like to join, and we will see you at that time. Next up, in 2 weeks, we are hosting Good Morning Corona, the State of the County Address with Supervisor Karen Spiegel. She covers District 2 of Riverside County, and she's the current board chair. So we're excited for her to come talk to us about what's happening in the County of Riverside and how it's affecting all of us here. It is on a special day. It is on Thursday, March 17th. That is St. Patrick's Day. We have a fun theme for you all, in addition to that very great keynote that we have prepared for you. We also have a promotion going on right now. So anybody that gets their registration and their payment in by next Monday, we have a pot of gold we're giving away at the event with cash and some other prizes. So looking forward to seeing you all there. We do have exhibitor tables and sponsorships available. So if you'd like to learn more, there's going to be a link in the chat, and I'm happy to answer any questions after the meeting is over. Later this month, we are hosting Corona Night with the Angels. This will be at Angel Stadium, and they'll be playing the Dodgers. This is a preseason game, and if you are a baseball fan and have been following the union negotiations, you may be concerned that they passed their deadline, but that actually is currently only affecting the current season, not the preseason games. So we expect to be there with all of you on Sunday, March 27th. We have lots of different sections available, and different from ways that we did this in previous years. You can actually pick your exact seats, and they're all in the same section with fellow Corona people. So fun night to get away and kind of forget about any problems and enjoy a hot dog and a beer at the ballpark. And the last thing I wanted to bring to your attention this morning is about Innovation Month. So Riverside County designated the whole month of April as Innovation Month several years back, and Corona has a regional fast pitch competition. This is just one aspect of how we are going to celebrate innovation in the month of April, but it's also our jewel. It's a really incredible program where business owners or soon-to-be business owners come and pitch their product or service and how they are breaking ceilings and being innovative in their industry or making new industries. And they pitch to a panel of judges who will rank them in different categories, such as how viable is this product or this service, and what kind of impact is this going to make on the world, really. We have cash prizes. And the winner of our Corona Regional Fast Pitch Competition on April 5th will go on to compete in the county finale at the end of the month. So the person that entered our competition last year won at the county level. And that's, like I said, you get feedback from the judges, you have a potential to win prizes, and it's really a great start to hopefully a very successful business base here in Riverside County. It's free to enter, and the applications are due in just a few weeks. So you see the link on your screen. I'm going to put another link in the chat for you that has information on the whole month and what's going on. And we hope to have you participate either as somebody who's pitching their product, or as an audience member, or maybe you're just helping us spread the word. We'd love to highlight those innovative businesses and entrepreneurs. So thank you for your time, and any questions, I'm happy to chat after the call. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to my colleague, Robert Yanes, to talk about membership here at the Corona Chamber.
Thank you so much, Stephanie, and thank you all for being on the call today. I love seeing as many of you on here as we're seeing today, and I believe that any of us who own a business or run a business should all be on this call. So if you guys have any vendors or any clients that you feel may get some great benefits from not only this call, but of our chamber, I'd love for you to reach out to me. My name is Robert Yanes. I'm the Membership Development Coordinator. You could call me here at the office or reach me at the information I'll put in the chat. And we have some great new coming events, and I will turn it over to Tammy to speak about those. She is our marketing and sponsorship specialist.
Thank you so much, Robert. And yes, thank you everyone that has joined, and definitely spread the word. There's so many great things that we learned from this, and we're really thankful that each of you are here. We do have some really awesome events coming up, sponsorship and exhibitor opportunities for those. Stephanie already mentioned Good Morning Corona. We also have our golf tournament and several others. So definitely get a hold of Robert and I. We can help you with those. And if you want to promote your business in some really affordable ways, the Chamber has some amazing ways to help you. One of our favorite happens to be the email blast that goes out each week with really pertinent information for each of you to be aware of. And also our business newspaper that goes out bi-monthly. So definitely get a hold of Robert and I. We can help you out with those details. And thank you so much again for being here. And we'll turn it back to you, Jeff.
Tammy, thank you, Robert. Thank you, Stephanie. Let's get right into the meat of the matter. I would like to give Brad and Kimberly, our legislative offices, an opportunity to make a few comments after Jeff Gibson does his update. So I'm putting you guys on notice. Jeff owns Occidental Communications Group. Jeff specializes in government affairs, political, and overall campaign related stuff. He specializes in housing and healthcare and environmental issues. And we're just thrilled to be able to have him give us, we're thrilled to have him part of our organization and to give us weekly updates on legislation that is moving through the system. And with that, Jeff, take it away.
Thank you to everybody. Happy Ash Wednesday. I don't know if you notice I have something in the middle of my forehead. I got hit pretty hard this Ash Wednesday. So with that, Jeff, you have a little speck right there. I didn't want to embarrass you in front of everybody, but wanted to let you know. We have two bills to discuss, and then a economic phenomena known as inflation, and what that very likely will mean for interest rates that your business will be paying. So jumping into it very quickly, we have a bill to support, AB 2829 by Assemblymember Evan Lowe, Democrat from San Francisco, for tax credits for businesses to improve their response to Americans with Disabilities Act accessibility. So if you have a business that is going through some sort of remodel, something like that, then this is going to be able to reimburse you or you're able to take $250 off of your tax basis on any given year. So that's a move in a good direction. Obviously, we are regularly in touch with our legislators. We would prefer that the overall tax rate be lower because tax credits don't work as succinctly to generate economic growth as an overall cut in tax rates. But in this case, this is something that helps every single member of the community and the businesses themselves. So very much in favor of that. One that we are opposing, and I'll take any questions that you may have, just throw them into the chat and Anthony can get to them. The bill that we are opposing, and we're firmly opposed to this, we've been opposed to it in the past, is AB 2182 by Assemblymember Wicks, Buffy Wicks, from a Democrat from Berkeley. What this does it's an extension of a discussion that began in 2020 in the legislature. And if you remember, we have a rule about the legislature that good ideas have one shot of making it through the legislature. Bad ideas have forever to get through. And in 2020, the idea of family responsibility being added for potential sick leave, for potential discrimination cases is something that we firmly are against. We are not against family responsibility. And as everybody on this call knows, if someone has a grandmother go out ill, someone has a member of their extended family that they are providing care for, in almost every single instance I've ever heard of in my entire life, and I've been employed in the state of California since I was 11 years old, I have always heard and always worked with employees that I've worked with for, yes, if you need to take a day off, if you need to take some time off, if you need afternoons off to make sure that your uncle gets to chemotherapy, etc. Every employer works around that. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I would have been wearing my mask, but I saw on the State of the Union last night that we no longer need them. So we are very much in favor of supporting you as an employer, working with your employees on their family responsibilities as your employee defines them. We are opposing AB 2182 because what that does is it adds the words family responsibility to the race, sex, gender discrimination laws. So obviously people can't do anything about how they were born or the race that they were born into or their station in life that they were born into. And so we firmly agree with the discrimination codes as they now stand. What this bill proposes is then taking something that can be defined as family responsibility. Now, everyone on this call would presume that family means immediate family. And if you read the bill, there is a big part of the bill that talks about immediate family, your child, your wife, your spouse, your people that live in your own home, and then your extended family, which extends to the next generation outside of that. But there are very specific citations in there. And as we know in law, it ends up that everything that goes into a law is a law. And in that, it says that it's defined by the employee who is in their family and not. And there are no grounds for holding for coming back as an employer and saying, well, wait a second, that's your neighbor. Wait a second, that's the guy down the street. Wait a second, that's your high school teacher that you knew 5 years ago. And because it's a discrimination, because it's at that level of discrimination, you as an employer would be responsible years to defend yourself years after the employee left. So the employee can say, well, you fired me 4 years ago because my neighbor got sick with cancer and I needed to take them to the hospital twice. And I was being a good Samaritan. I really feel like this person was a family member to me. And I now have found out that I have this discrimination case. And so I'm going to sue. This may sound like it is outlandish, but remember, there are thousands of lawsuits going through right now over wage issues that we opposed. And our complaint about that was if you accidentally paid your employees for lunch, they could actually sue you for every lunch that you didn't accidentally pay them for. And sure enough, there are billions in damages that are going to be paid this year. That's with a B. So trillions is something that the federal government spends. Billions is something currently being spent by the state government. Billions in damages going back years in wage lawsuits. This is something that we're going to be having to come back, I guarantee you, in 2 to 3 years if you're on this call then, for reform. But right now, this is the largest problem that we're facing. So if we add family responsibility to the same level of discrimination code as all of the other discrimination codes that have been so responsible for protecting so many Californians, you both water down what that level of discrimination means, and you confuse the issue. And so we are absolutely opposed to that. I'm happy to take any calls from there. And then I wanted to get into a point on inflation that everyone should be able to see very quickly here.
There are no questions directly about these bills, Jeff. However, we do have a question. Any updates on the smash and grab bill that we discussed last week?
The Assembly has, yes, thank you very much for that. No, the legislature has not taken action on that. So moving on to inflation, if you go to the next slide, let's see what slide is up. Yes. So this is a comparison of the three countries, Germany, Canada, and the United States. We have relatively very similar economies, but what you see here in the red line on your screen, that is the American Consumer Price Index. The blue is the German, and the green is the Canadian. At the start and through most of the pandemic, the red line is either substantially or trailing behind all the other lines. But right around February 2021, when we passed the American Recovery Act, which was $4.5 trillion on top of $7 trillion of other COVID spending, what you can see here is that the graph very quickly separates, the red line very quickly separates and moves much, much higher than the other developed economies in the United States, worldwide. What this means for us is that there has been no time in recorded human history where the interest rate, the price that you are paying for cash in your business to buy a home, etc., is as negative as it is now, based against the inflation rate. We're running an inflation rate of about 8%. Most cash is available between 3 and 4%. That means that we have a negative inflation rate of 200%. And so what we need to do is either we are going to go through a period of hyperinflation, which is very unlikely, or you're going to see Fed tightening. Now, the Fed tightening that they're talking about is adding about 2% to the overall inflation rate that each of us would pay, or the overall interest rate that we would pay for general commercial loans, for mortgages, etc. The reality is those rates need to climb higher than inflation. At no other time in human history, short of a war, which all of us are very cognizant of the threat from, and each of us is praying and thinking and very concerned about Ukraine, and the examples of Winston Churchill here on the line today are exactly true. But what ends up happening, and Anthony, if you can go on to the next slide on GDP and supply chain, you could see that the argument that inflation is transitory was absolutely false, which we have been saying since April of 2021. And the reason we said that was because it was already showing up in GDP numbers. The GDP kept jumping by the same amount that inflation was jumping. And that's where you come into problems, is that if inflation is showing up in your gross domestic product output, all you're doing is you are renumbering the amount that you're producing. You're not producing anything more. That means that your inflation is baked into your economy and you need to get it out, as opposed to a temporary shock of supply. And you could see this from both of these things. The top is the gross domestic product. And here again, you could see throughout the drop of the lockdown and then coming up that we are almost exactly the same, although a little bit ahead of our German and Canadian counterparts. And then through quarter one and early quarter two, we are about the same. And then out of the blue, the American economy, as measured by the gross domestic product, skyrockets in value. Now, these numbers come directly from the Federal Reserve. And what you And what that is the space between our economy, the Canadian economy, and the German economy is almost precisely equal to the inflation rate, which shows that this is a monetary problem. And because we weren't seeing it in 2020, we weren't seeing this in 2019, and we were going through periods of quantitative easing. In that era, the problem that we have is we could have either been easing our interest rates or we could have been spending through Congress. Unfortunately, we did both, and now we're in this period of having to deal with this. On the third graph here, what you see is the response of supply chain issues and the balance of trade. Canada is not a consumer country. They are a producer country. Germany is a producer country as well. The United States is a consumer country. And so this is where you can see that their economies, as they move forward, right? So the red, you can see right there that imports went off the chart as opposed to Germany and Canada's, and are now much higher than they were at the start of the lockdowns. Germany and Canada's are actually below the level they were at the start of the lockdowns. So they actually are producing more goods than they are consuming. So inflation and the other disruptions that we're going through aren't going to be experienced by Germany, aren't going to be experienced by Canada. So then we have to ask, what did we do here? And how is that going to affect us here? And it's pretty clear that what we're going through now, all of the assurances that you're seeing that we're only going to have a 2% increase in interest rates and what that does to borrowing is very unlikely heading into the middle of 2023. But you're either going to have a supply shock of, say, $110 for a barrel of oil. And I don't know of any major oil producer that would be invading its neighbor right now, specifically to create that oil shock. And by the way, the Russian economy doesn't balance into the positive unless oil is above $100 a barrel. So just keep that in mind. So either you're going to have severe supply shocks that tampen down inflation, or you're going to have the Federal Reserve is going to raise interest rates, or both. And that's really the period that we're headed into now. So you would want to be prepared for that. And that's why we're here. Now, speaking of being prepared, May 31st, June 1st and June 2nd, we are going back to Sacramento. I know Bobby is very excited. Everyone else is very excited. We are putting together a very good list of speakers, and we're going to go exercise our Fourth Amendment rights like they have never been exercised before, to petition our government and meet with legislators. So if you are on this call from a legislative office, we will be soon contacting you to see if we could do breakfast on June 1st. That is the request. June 1st breakfast across the street from the Capitol, usually at Vines at the Hyatt. We will have a number of speakers as well, in addition to the California Chamber of Commerce, which has a business summit in which we usually do very well awards-wise. This is one of our most important conferences of the year. We generally meet with a number of folks. Our goal each year is to meet with people that spend at least 1/3 of the budget, so that you can understand the way that they're looking at the world and how you can use that information in the business decisions that you're making. So with that, happy to answer any questions and or shuffle off stage left.
Thank you, Jeff. Anthony, any questions?
There are no questions at this moment.
Well, good job, Jeff. Thank you very much. We are running a little bit over today, and I do apologize. We just tried to squeeze in as much stuff as we could, and I'm not able to get to some of the off-agenda items that I like to do. So I apologize in advance. I'll make up for it next week. Feel free to contact our legislators. There's their information on the screen. I would like to, they are both on, they have both representatives on the line. I'd like to give each one of them an update, an opportunity to give like a 20-second update on anything that they want to. Brad West from Assemblymember Sabrina Savante's office.
Good morning, everybody. The only update I have right now is that we are currently accepting nominations for our Women of Distinction event. So if you know any women in Assembly District 60 that you would like to nominate, please feel free to send me an email and I'll go ahead and send my email in the chat.
Great, thank you. Is Kimberly is still on from Senator Roth's office.
Yes, I am here. Good morning, everyone. I apologize. My camera is not on. I was enjoying a bagel as Jeff was giving his update, but didn't want to torture everyone to see that. But just wanted to mention that the senator has a relatively new committee assignment, and that is on the budget and fiscal review, as well as the budget subcommittee number 4 on state administration and general government. So if anyone has any questions regarding that, please call me, email me. I'm more than happy to share some more information. I'll put my email in the chat. But that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, Brad. I want to get everybody off the call here so they can go out and make some money. I do want to recognize just a few folks that are on the call. From the Riverside County Office of Education, Annette Dumont's on the call. Former council member and mayor of Corona, Jason Scott's on the call. The Dean of California Baptist University's Business School and board member, Dr. Tim Gramling's on the call. Hey, Tim. And the president of Norco College, Monica Green, is on the call. And I hope I didn't forget anybody. I know there's board members on the call, but again, we ran over. I want to wrap it up. And with that, I would just adjourn today's meeting and give all of our folks, all the folks in Ukraine, your best thoughts and wishes, especially President Zelensky, so they can get through this without any more death. And the mayor of Corona just jumped on the call, or Wes Speak. Thank you, Wes, for coming on the call. Apologize for that. But anyways, the meeting is adjourned. Go out, make some money, and say a prayer for those folks in Ukraine. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, everyone.